Okay, guys, we are here today in the 14th episode of BJJ Fanatics Podcast. Our guest here is Gordon Ryan again, Michael Zenga. And guys, today's a very special day. Like on Wednesday, we launched the Gordon Ryan new instructional video on the guard passing. And it was a very good launch. And today is actually the last day on sales. And soon we're going to go downstairs in the med area and do some Q&A as well with Gordon for you guys to ask any questions and this and that. But we are very, very excited. This was the first instructional video that Gordon made. And it was huge. Like a lot of people got it, and we are getting great feedback. So, Gordon, how do you feel, man, after your first instructional?
I'm pumped. Thank you guys for, being so interested in a instructional that I did. There's been a lot of buzz around it. I see a lot of positive reviews about it. So I can't really complain. People really seem to enjoy, the format that I was set up. And then that was the hardest thing for me was trying to format a complete guard passing system. So people really like it. People really like the commentary on the rolls, and everyone seems happy. So I'm happy.
Yeah, and what I feel nowadays is that everybody who buys videos, they want to buy like a quick path, right? So they want to buy a system, right? So I think you had a huge advantage that
yes.
You saw exactly what
yes.
John, like how John systemized everything, right? So you were able to take like your passings for no gi and make it like a system, right? Make it like easy for everybody to learn, right?
Yeah, it's not like you can fast forward to the end and look for one technique. You have to really watch it from the beginning, and then only when you watch it from the beginning to the end is when everything really only makes sense. Because if you watch just the end of it, if you're just trying to see floating passing, or you're just trying to see ashigarami defenses, I don't show all the finishing of passes that I normally would because I showed them in the beginning. So you have to go from the beginning, watch all the way through, and then everything starts to connect towards the end. So make sure you watch the whole thing.
Yeah, and man, that's amazing because I even text John these days, like, most of the jiu-jitsu coaches, they teach the fighter how to be a fighter, right? How to win the tournaments and this and that. But it's amazing to see that he's also teaching you like how to create a system that people can replicate what you do.
Yeah, and that is more important, in my opinion, is knowing how to teach and how to learn, because that's ultimately how you get better. If John died today, I can't just be the same grappler as I am right now 10 years from now. I have to know how to learn. I have to learn more jiu-jitsu myself. I have to create more techniques myself. I have to build off, the things that he's already taught us. So, being able to teach and being able to, him teaching us how to teach and how to learn is just as important as, him teaching us how to win competitions, in my opinion.
No, I agree. And I think, like, especially talking about, like, no-gi guard passing, it's hard to create a system on top of that, right? Because there's so much, like, you gotta go quick, right? And it's the
so
opponent is sweating. Yeah. Yes, it's not like and you were able to do that. You broke down in 3-part formula, right? Like the losing pass, tied pass, and submission pass. And it was very smart. Even like the way that you were able to break that out. You agree, Michael?
Yeah, I think the whole thing. Well, it kind of started of us talking where we were just in my basement fooling around one day, and you were showing me stuff. I'm like, oh my God, because I'd never seen John's passing system, and like, wow, this is different. And if you ask Gordon anything, he has an answer. The crazy thing too, I've never had Gordon show me anything no gi. Everything he always shows me is in the gi because
Zenga takes it private every time I come here, and he it's never without the gi on. It's always with the gi. The first time I came here, he's like, yeah, I don't really train no gi, but like we can do a no gi private if you want. I'm like, okay, like whatever you feel comfortable with. And he was like kind of shy to ask me to do it in the gi. So he comes down and he has like full gi pants on and a t-shirt. And I'm like, you sure you don't want to do it in the gi? He's like, let me go grab my gi top. So he like goes upstairs and comes down with like a full uniform, belt tied. I'm like, all right, I guess we're doing it in the gi. So ever since then, we just have been doing gi privates.
Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly it, because Gordon knows how to think. I mean, he knows how to figure out his way, and the concepts are different than anything that I've seen. I mean, and I saw some stuff today. He polished up a lot of stuff for me that I've been using. There's this one guy's half guard that I have trouble to pass. I don't want to say his name, but and we talked about a couple of things. I'm sure it'll never work in reality, but we talked about.
You guys did today?
Yeah,
awesome.
Yeah, we talked about. We figured out some stuff that that person does and how to get there, but it's more or less just understanding the concepts. It's like when you're doing it with him, you never feel stuck, because I think that when people feel stuck and they're in a position where I just don't know where to do right now, that's when bad stuff starts happening. And with your system, you're exhausted, you don't know what to do, and that's when you start looking bad. And in this system, you kind of know what to do. Now, I'm saying you're going to be able to get it on a 5-time world champion every time, but at least you're going to at least know what to try.
Yeah, you know what dilemmas to play.
Yes.
If they do this, you have another move to follow up. It's not just, completely clueless the entire time you're there.
Define dilemma for me. I know what it means, but...
So basically what you want to do is not just give your partner, a problem. I put my hand here, and all he has to do is strip the grip off. I give him a series of dilemmas and trilemmas, so that if, for example... if we're in a bottom half guard, we went over this today, and my partner's knee's off the floor, we can always insert a butterfly hook. So if he puts the knee on the floor, we go into a knee lever. So if the knee's on the floor, he gets the knee levered over. If the knee comes off the floor to defend the knee lever, then we go into playing a butterfly hook. So you play the dilemma of a knee lever and a butterfly hook. So,
meaning that he only has bad choices.
Yeah. If he solves one problem, he runs into either the next problem or the previous problem that he was already dealing with.
Yeah.
So wherever he goes is always another problem to deal with.
Oh, good. This word dilemma for jiu-jitsu got from John, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because many times
most of the terminology that I get from and my teaching is from John.
Many times when John's filming here, I'm on my computer doing stuff, and then I keep listening that there's some words that he used that's stuck in my mind, like dilemma, tremendous pressure.
Yep. Exceedingly difficult. That's another one.
The tremendous breaking pressure.
Strangulation as well.
Strangle, yeah. You'll never hear choke, always strangle. I said... So last time he was here, I said,
John, he freaks out.
John, can you show me this choke? And he just saw him, he just starts quivering. Strangle. I'm sorry, I'm still working on it.
Yep. One time I said ankle lock, and he's like, "What did you just say?" I was like, "A purple belt," and I was like, "Ankle lock." He's like, "It's Achilles lock, dickhead." And I was like, "Well," I was like, "All right," and then I never called it an ankle lock again.
One funny thing, a side note, is that John is the one that introduced us to Gordon. I mean, mostly. And we usually end up talking about him. Today, for whatever reason, we were more talking about the tactics we've been using, about just how different people have liked the video. And his name came up, it wasn't that much. And then, as we're sitting there at lunch, he drops this post with him and when he's 23 years old, with hair out to here, and exceedingly muscular. And of course, he just went and took over the conversation again.
I commented on it, and I was like, "Man, he must have bought the fitness DVD."
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, Gordon, but man, tell me how do you develop this 3-part formula of guard passing that you have been doing? How it all started?
So basically,
because you weren't always great at passing.
No. I basically, John, when we first started, it was really to only go into submissions. He wanted us to get very good at submissions. So most of the stuff that he would show us when we were on top position was either spinning around the leg for leg locks, going for kimuras and things like that. So a lot of it was submission based to get to the back or get to the legs, because the back attack system and the leg attack system were the first two systems he really started pushing on us. So everything was, in the beginning, how can we either attack the legs or how can we get to the back with kimuras or various different moves from there. So the first thing I started doing when I was passing was more just submissions to get into positions where I can finish people. And then the problem was everyone got so good at defending submissions where you go into a leg attacks on people and you couldn't finish anybody at Henzos because everybody was so good at leg locks. Then I had to start going into actual guard passes. So I said, okay, how can I start passing people from here? So then I started tight passing with body locks and with top, head, and arms, and started getting really good success there. But then everyone started defending by keeping inside position. So you can't get underhook, you can't get a crossface. And
framing. Yeah,
it's really difficult to get upper body position. So then I'm like, man, what do I do from here? So then John started teaching us Toriando passes, where we throw legs to the side and we do loose passing. So then I started to get good at those, where if I can't get to upper body position, I started throwing the legs by first, and then going into passes and getting past the legs first, and then pinning the upper body second. And then about 2 years ago, I want to say, he's told us that he has leg pommeling drills to get into leg lock situations, but he never had a leg pommeling system to actually get past the guard. And then it was our job over the next couple of years to create a leg pommeling system to pass your partner's guard. And I was like, okay, well, John told us to fucking do something, so I'm going to work on doing that. So I started developing, series of movements to have a reaction for any of my partner's given actions through leg pommeling. So then I started adding the final piece of the equation, which was a loose passing and leg pommeling type game to get past their guard. So I first started with submissions, and then I started with tight passing. Then that started failing, and then I moved into loose passing with toreandos, and eventually leg pommeling. And then I figured out how to chain the leg pommeling together with tight passes, with loose passing, with everything, and that's when everything started to kind of click for me.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so the three-part formula, there is even like a part that's on between two, right? So for example, you have the tight passing, loose passing, and submission passing, but between the tight passing and the loose passing, there is the leg pommeling passing, right?
Yeah. So the leg pommeling is technically, it's like a subdivision of the loose passing, because it's still loose passing. You're not physically holding your partner down. Like when you have someone in a top head and arm and half guard, and you have a crossface and underhook, they can't give you their back if they don't, like even if they try, because they're pinned to the floor. Versus if you have a position where you're floating over top of them, if they want to, they can try to stand up, but they have to give you back exposure. So it's technically loose passing because they can move. You're not holding them in place, but you still put pressure on them through head position and through leg position.
Still, there are a lot of like, for example, so you can do the leg pommeling to do the tight passing, the loose passing, and you can also do submission passing from the leg pommeling. You can use leg pommeling to enter into leg locks, for example. You can start backstepping into cross hashigurami and start attacking your partner's legs. If they start posting up on their elbows, you can go for kimuras, for guillotines. You can chain all these things together. Man, that's amazing. So pretty much there's a three-part formula, and then there is this leg pommel here that unite all of them.
Yeah, that's kind of a subdivision of loose passing. It's technically loose passing. It's just a subdivision of that category.
Honestly, I already knew all of this. I'm just asking all these questions to make sure everybody knows. I watched an instructional while you were filming. And no, man, that's great. And guys, very soon we're gonna go downstairs and we're gonna do techniques as well and Q&A. So if you're live right now, make sure to stick for the next 30 minutes or so, and we're gonna be there. So, question, Michael?
Yeah. So just when it comes to you actually rolling in the gym, how often would you say that you pass with tight? How often would you say you end up passing with loose? And how often would you say you submit?
Depends on the person. So like if you're training with like one of the core Henzo guys, like getting submissions are hard. So like usually I end up tight passing them, because the problem with like the core Henzo guys is if you try to hit submissions, it's hard because they're good at defending submission. That's all we really do. If you try to loose pass them and throw their legs to the side, they just invert from toreandos and enter into your legs, and you're getting leg locked. So a lot of it is either trying to float pass, where I pommel legs, and then when I start beating them with the leg pommeling, then I usually go into tight passes. So with the core Henzo guys, it's mostly using loose passing to get the tight upper body position, and then passing and taking the back and mounting and stuff from there. With guys outside of Henzos, it's pretty easy to enter into submissions, to go into leg locks, to go into kimuras and stuff like that. It's easy to do all of them, but entering in submissions with the leg pommeling, because you can just easily out leg pommel someone from top and enter into their legs and leg lock them. So,
because it seems to me that things are almost coming full circle. Like if you watched the very first UFC, and I know you were a fan early, even though you were a little kid in daycare, right? You had Ken Shamrock used to just sit back and take a very rudimentary straight Achilles lock, okay? And then it got pretty easy to defend because someone would just block it so he couldn't let the leg come in. Remember in the first UFC, Hoist just sat up. But at the last Kasai event I went to, the one where you competed against Joao, and I think the co-main event, Hanato was there against Marcio Andre. And Marcio Andre is very, very tough to loose pass. I don't even know if it's possible. And so Hanato was trying.
He did a really good job. And he got past his legs at one point, but like I talk about, he started extending his limbs to not get past. Yeah. And as soon as he extended his legs away, Renato just fell back and right into cross hashi, and the heel was right there. But so that's a great job by Renato.
Exactly. No, and Renato's an incredible competitor. But like it's almost like it's come full circle where he sat back, but he just had a much more sophisticated way of finishing it. He ended up finishing with an inside heel hook, correct?
Yeah.
And so do you feel like that's coming back? Do you feel like the opportunities are there that a lot of people just don't try anymore?
Yeah, for sure. Plus a lot of people don't want to just give up top position. Everyone thinks that if you fall back for leg locks, you're gonna lose top position, which isn't always the case. Yeah. But he hit it at the perfect time. If you watch, Nicky actually did the same thing to Marvin. He got past his legs. Marvin started to extend the way, and then he fell back into cross hashigurami.
Nice.
So that was an outstanding job by Renato for sure. Yeah. And something that Marcio definitely wasn't expecting, because Renato is not really known for going in for inverted heel hooks on people. For sure. So that was outstanding.
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, so we just kind of touched on another topic there. So you're not the only guy in your family that's real good at jiu-jitsu. Talk about your brother, 17 years old. won the ADCC. I haven't met him yet, but wow. I mean, he won the ADCC trials and he tapped every one of his competitors. Yeah. I'm sure no one was under 20 that he won against.
Probably not, no, yeah.
Wow. And so how long has he been training?
So he started training, he trained for like 6 months when he was like a little kid, when he was like 9 years old. And then he quit, and then he competed once when he was like 11 or 12, but like wasn't training. He just like jumped at a naga or something. And then he started training again when he was 13, and then full time when he was 14.
So he's really only
full time 3 years.
So he went to ADCC. He has to be the youngest ADCC competitor ever, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
So he was 15. So I mean, he literally.
I think he was 16 when he did ADCC. Okay. Because his birthday's in June and it was September, so he was 16.
All right, so he's going to be 18 at this coming one. So he could legit get 14, 15 ADCCs under his belt by the time he's done. But he speak to like how training under a system for him has really brought the way he's flourished.
Yeah, I mean, he's doing the same thing we're doing. If you look at our entire team, it's pretty much the same core set of moves.
Yeah.
And then we just have like our own little personality to it.
Yeah.
But me, Nikki, and Gary, we're all doing pretty much the same thing, but we just have different body types, so we play the game different. Like I can't move the same way Gary does. And Gary can't pin people down the same way I can because he's much smaller than me. But we're all doing relatively the same thing. So Nikki's doing the same thing as us. He's just not as physical yet because he's still a child. But he's doing all the same things we are, and he's adding his own stuff to it. He's being intuitive and making his own stuff as well. Because
when you think about most jiu-jitsu schools, what's the typical class format? They go out there, they do a warm-up, call it 15 minutes. The instructor shows 3 moves that Bernardo told me he probably thought of on the drive over, right?
That's most of the jiu-jitsu instructors, though.
And a bunch of tough guys who have games that look nothing alike.
Exactly. And there are things that they figure out. And there's no real drilling time. Then, okay, guys, put in your mouth guards, let's roll. Whereas you guys are in there working on very specific skill sets, correct?
If you look at most schools, it's just a group of tough guys. Usually the bigger schools are recruited. So they have guys who are already successful, and they just want to have tough training partners, so they come to a team and they have a bunch of tough guys. But if you look at most of the athletes from most teams, their games are nothing alike. It's just a bunch of tough guys in a room who have their own game that they built.
Exactly, yeah.
And they have that's their game. But if you look at what John's doing, we have all the athletes that are in our room do almost exactly the same thing, which is different than everyone else, but the same when compared to our athletes, and then just slight differences based on physical attributes and personalities.
Because you have very similar fundamentals, and then you have these submission systems.
Yeah.
And that you go through, and obviously that speeds along the progress meter, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, because let's say we do drills on the back. So John teaches us highly advanced techniques from the back, and we spend every day for 4 years doing these drills from the back. When you go against someone in competition, they may have been training for 20 years, but they haven't spent as much time in that specific system as we have.
Yeah, it's so that's a 10-hour rule, right?
Yeah, that's the whole thing. It's not how do we get good. It's how do we get good in the shortest amount of time possible. And the way to do that is to put yourself in these specific situations where you spend more time than your competitors in these specific situations, even though they have more time overall on the mats than you.
Yeah. I think speaking to the way you trained kind of fits in a way that like you got, even though it doesn't sound like you did a whole lot of drilling, you always end up in half guard and you always end up in a pressure pass.
Yeah, I would always, every single training I would pull half guard, and when I'm on top I would do over under.
Yeah.
So it would almost turn into a drilling situation. The thing about you though is that you're so good at getting to half guard or over under from anywhere.
Yeah, but I think that's all part of this thing that you're talking about, because it's like you're taking one subject and you're focusing all your energy and your time on that subject. So you're gonna have more time on that subject on all aspects, like how to approach, how to establish, how to then the opponent. So
it's how do you get there?
Yeah, exactly.
Like everyone knows, if we get to the back, it's going to be easy to finish people. But if someone comes into a jiu-jitsu match and doesn't want to do jiu-jitsu and they want to stall, the whole question is, how can we get to their back? If you can get to their back, it's going to be easy. But the whole question is, how do you get there?
Yeah, and maybe you're very good if you heel hook, but if you don't get there, how are you going to...
If you can't enter into an ashigarami, you can't do a heel hook.
So it's part of the process, how to approach as well, right? How to get there. Well, Gordon, but man, what's your weight?
Right now I'm like 225.
Cool. And
I'm not training, so I'm a little heavy.
What's Nick's weight?
Like 150, 155 maybe.
And he also uses the 3-part formula for passing, right?
Yeah. He does.
So,
He's working a lot on loose passing now because he's like super small to like hold down really big guys, like someone who's like 250 pounds who like just wants to bridge a little 17-year-old over. Is probably gonna be able to do it most of the time. So he does a lot of submissions and a lot of loose passing, but he's working body lock passing and tight passing with people his own size too. So
this kind of system doesn't matter the weight of the person; it's always gonna work. Like
no, yeah. Right. I mean, obviously, some people are gonna favor one kind of passing more than the other. Like obviously, as someone who's 140 pounds is gonna like loose passing more than tight passing. Someone who's 250 pounds isn't gonna be doing a lot of toriandos and throwing legs to the side. They're gonna be doing more body lock and top head and arm passing. But it's good to know all three of them so you can at least use one to set the other up. So for example, if you're 220 pounds, you don't really want to stay standing too often, but let's say you can't get one of your feet to the inside. The guy plays a really good butterfly guard. You start off with a toriando where you throw the legs to the side, and then as they recover, you can put a foot to the inside. So you don't have to necessarily use a toriando to pass, but you use it to set up the passes that you do like.
Makes sense. So now I have one question here, like personal question. So for example, I'm all about the pressure passing, right? And then when I'm doing no-gi and my opponents completely sweat, man, pressure passing doesn't work at all because especially the one that I do that's the over-under that goes towards the hip.
It's hard to hold them.
The legs always score it out.
They start slipping like through the corner of the mat and then you can never pass. So which one you use the most when the guys completely sweat?
So for me, my whole thing is I start with a foot inside, with the inside foot straight hamstring to start to do the float passing. And then I pommel legs, because once you can pommel past their legs, then they have to start knee elbow escaping. So let's say you pommel past their legs, they go to knee elbow escape, but you're in mount. They go to knee elbow escape. Then when they go to knee elbow escape, then their hands come away from your shoulders, and then you can lock top, head, and arms and underhooks. So I usually start with loose passing, and then when they start to address your leg position, you drop down and you go into your heavy passes versus just hammering away at heavy passes and they slip away and they get away from you. So you can pommel past the legs first without having a chance of them slipping away because you're not actually holding them. And then when to actually get past their legs, there's either back exposure or pins available.
Okay, man, that's amazing. Yeah, it's like a music in the ears to hear how you know what you're doing. It's not like you're just crazy strong and you're going there and trying to smash everybody.
That's one thing. When I ask him a question,
that's the biggest trick I played on everybody. Everyone just thinks I'm like a big, strong retard that like goes out and I win because I'm like big and long. But I actually know jiu-jitsu.
At a level that most don't. I mean, you've studied every single match. So we've talked about a lot of different matches and you've seen all of them. You're also a big UFC fan too, right?
Yeah, pretty big. I mean, I don't study as much as jiu-jitsu now because I'm not fighting. But when I actually start fighting, I'll study that as well.
And so talking about MMA, let's talk about like passing for MMA, right? Because you have a big point on that, right?
Yeah.
That most of the jiu-jitsu guys who joins MMA, they have a hard time. This is John's theory, actually. That many times they get in trouble because they're usually about doing passing with the opponent playing guard. And then when you go do MMA, the opponent doesn't want to play guard anymore. He just wants to stand up. So it's a completely different game.
There's two big problems. One is that most people nowadays are fighting to score points or to score advantages. So they're not actually able to finish people in fights. So they go into a fight and they pass a guy's guard for a second, which would normally score them an advantage, but in a fight it doesn't mean anything. So it's important to be able to actually go out and have the equivalent to a knockout punch, which is a submission on the ground, be able to go out into a fight and actually finish someone if you have to. And then the problem with keeping someone down in MMA is in jiu-jitsu, there's an unspoken rule that one guy plays top position and one guy plays bottom position. Because that's jiu-jitsu's on the ground. So if you take someone down, they usually stay on the floor. But in MMA, it's not the case at all. If you take someone down, they're immediately trying to push your head away. They're trying to hip heist up, and they want to get away and start going into escapes so they can start standing back up. So the whole thing is, how can we as jiu-jitsu guys go in and actually hold somebody down? Damian Mai does a really good job of this. He has a really good system of going in, putting people down, both on the cage and from half guard coming up. And when he gets them down, he holds them down. And if they go to stand up, they always create back exposure. So the whole thing for jiu-jitsu guys is, how can I take someone down and not just play, disengaging game where I stall for 10 minutes and then I go in, I try to pass, I stall for 10 minutes, and then I try to go in and pass, but actively engaging the guard without giving up sweeps and keeping guys down at the same time. Because if you look at most guys, once they score an advantage or score 2 points, they don't really have to do anything in someone's guard. So they can just pitter patter from the outside and play with the hands like this. But in an MMA fight, if you stay that far away, the guy's just going to stand back up. So you actually have to engage the guy and be able to keep him down while attacking him.
No, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense.
Khabib would obviously be an example of that.
Yeah. Khabib was extremely good at keeping people down. George is the best of all time. From personal experience training with George, there's nobody that can hold me down like George. People put me down, like good like Olympic level wrestlers will put me down, but will never be able to score under ADCC rules. Like they'll put me down initially on a heist back up and put me down on a heist back up. But like George will put you down and he'll score on you. Like he'll keep you down.
He's good at finishing the takedown.
Yeah. Like he'll put your butt on the floor, and then when you go to get up, you're either not going to get up at all, or you're getting punched in the face the whole time while you are getting up.
And the craziest thing is that he was never a wrestler, right?
No.
That's crazy.
He never wrestled in high school or college. I'm pretty sure. He just was all shoot boxing with John.
Oh yeah, man, that's amazing.
The karate helped him with the distancing. He credits karate a lot to being able to go in and out fast, and a lot of having that in and out movement. But the timing on the takedowns is so different. No one realizes, like, just because you're a good wrestler doesn't really mean anything in MMA. Once you actually enter to the legs, the mechanics are the same of wrestling, sure. But the entrances with the striking is completely different. Like, you can't be a good wrestler and expect to shoot from someone 5 feet away and be able to take them down. It's the whole thing is as you're punching, that's when you should be level changing.
Oh yeah, man, that's amazing. Any other question, Michael?
So tell us about what happened to Kasai.
So it was definitely an interesting match. We started out with Joao, played in the feet a little bit, and then for one of the takedowns, we ended up off the stage. So I set to guard. There's a few sweeps back and forth, and then towards the end of regulation, I went to enter into a cross hashigurami, and as I went to sit him back down towards the floor, he jumped towards my head. So his hips are coming down, and my leg was going up, and hurt my leg pretty bad. So I have a fully torn LCL. So I managed to do the last 5 minutes of overtime with the hurt leg, and it is what it is. Won by a point, I think.
Yeah.
So gonna get surgery, I think, next week or so. I'm pretty sure it's scheduled. So.
One thing to be clear about Joao is that he's not, a lot of people are like, oh, Gordon's fighting some guy. He's not some guy. I mean, this is
no one gives him credit, but he literally has wins over every one of the sports.
Top 5, top 3.
I mean, this is one of the best guys. 265 pounds.
He lost a couple big competitions to Buchecha. But if Buchecha wasn't around, he would be the greatest ultra heavyweight ever. Pretty much.
Bernardo's beating him for worlds, in the finals with a nip and tuck type match. The finals of ADCC against.
ADCC silver, ADCC openweight silver, 3-time black belt world silver. He's Pan American champion. He's won pretty much everything.
It's not he just against some guy. No,
he just doesn't have as much notoriety as the other guys, but he's medaled in everything and he's beaten pretty much everybody.
He's super tough. And he does jiu-jitsu since he was very, very kid.
Yeah,
and he's good with judo too. He's complete. Everywhere
he's tough. And he's tough. He's huge.
On top and then huge.
Yeah. So talk about the plans for surgery and rehab.
So I'm pretty sure surgery is gonna be the 26th of February, and then it's basically just 2 weeks, no weight bearing on the leg, and then start physical therapy.
Cool.
Hopefully I'll be ready to compete by the Grand Prix in August if I have a good camp for that. So
cool.
We'll see.
Yeah, that's going to have to be one of the more watched events in history.
Yes, that's huge right now. It's right now. It's I think it's me, Buchecha, Leandro Lowe, Lucas Barboza, Yuri, and Muhammad Ali.
What about Urbith?
Urbith is not confirmed yet.
Okay,
but there's 2 or 3 more guys I have to pick, I think.
Every single one of those guys you just mentioned is a world champion, correct?
Yeah, either ADCC or black belt world champion. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, gear no game. Yep.
I think they're all world champions.
Yeah.
But okay.
Yeah. Yuri's ADCC, Lucas is no-gi and gi.
Yep.
Buchecha, obviously.
Yeah,
Buchecha.
for sure.
I mean, Ali's 18 world champion.
Yeah.
Everybody.
That's going to be a good tournament.
It's going to be an amazing tournament.
Low is pretty much...
So guys, for who is watching live, Gordon's new instructional, the guard passing one, is going to be on sale only until today, until tonight. So make sure to get it if you haven't got it yet. And for who is not watching live, today's February 16th, right? So when you watch it, when you listen to the podcast, it's not today anymore. But
we're not sure when it's going to go back on sale, but it's been people have loved it. The reviews that we have coming in, I mean, you have over 100 reviews on your own Instagram, correct?
I haven't seen one negative review yet, so I'm pretty pumped.
Yeah, and guys, I saw a lot of people ask like, why you put only for 2 or 3 days? So what happens like when you have a very big launch, or customer service gets completely screwed, and we don't. The most important part for us is the customer journey. So is to make sure every customer gets treated very well. So we were like, man, let's do that 3 or 4 days. And then at some point,
while we love Gordon, we can't have him completely take over our store for a month and have someone ask about someone else's video. I'm like, sorry, we're still answering questions about this one and that kind of thing.
Yeah, but guys, if you are live, if you're watching or listening live, we're gonna go downstairs and we're gonna do some Q&A as well about the guard passing. So make sure to check that out. And any other question, Michael?
Yeah, you get some new footwear. Let's see it.
I did. BJJ Fanatics just funded my new Gucci run on shoes. So I know everybody's boycotting Gucci right now. I don't know why actually, because I don't really follow any news besides just doing jiu-jitsu.
I don't follow that.
But
hey guys, let me be clear
so
here that what he says is not true. Because if not, we're gonna start giving shoes for all the fighters.
Yeah, exactly.
No, Garner had a very good lunch, and now he can do whatever he wants.
I'm moving up now. I'm moving up a little bit.
Yeah. But I think that's it, right? So thanks so much, Gordon, for coming here. One more podcast, and let's go downstairs. So I hope you guys enjoyed it.